guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Saturday, June 1st, and I don't know how that happened because it just seems like we started May and it's over. But with June comes better weather around here, so that always makes me happy. All right, we don't have any Q posts for today, but we do have plenty of Q-related news, as always, so that's what we're going to get into next. So come on with me and we'll run on over there and get started. And here we are. And this is our first item, and it's from Amazing Polly. Now, I'm not sure why Polly is amazing, but apparently she is, and she lives just down the road from me a ways. So I haven't met her, don't know her, but yeah, we're living in the same hood, kind of. You know, she's about, I don't know, 40 minutes from me. That's pretty close for Canadian standards. You know, it's a big country. All right, and she says, why is the Western District of New York defying the explicit orders of the school board to ram through facial recognition software into the schools? Well, we know. It's all part of this threat assessment that we talked about yesterday. It's TAPS, threat assessment. Oh, now I can't remember the whole rest of it, but it's called TAPS. It's called the TAPS Act, and it's Bill H.R. 838. So they're trying to get that through. And of course, you know, I think that this is the first part of it. And I think you're going to be seeing this more and more and more rolled out to schools all across the nation. Because I think that they are really going to bring in this TAPS Act, and you won't be judged on what you've done. You'll be judged on what you might do, what you could do, what you're gonna do. Yeah. A New York school district will test facial recognition on students. The Western New York School District says it is confident in its data collection policies. Oh, well, are they as confident as Facebook is in theirs, or Twitter, or any of the others that are collecting our data without our permission? I don't think I would want a son or daughter of mine to be in a school based, I don't like it. It does. And I know so many people say, yeah, but if you haven't done anything wrong, you don't have anything to worry about. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's very simplistic thinking. Very, because, you know, that's fine when the criminal is really a criminal. But what happens when you become the criminal because somebody doesn't like your opinion, or because you are against the gay lifestyle or against abortion, and that is considered hate speech, and now you are the criminal? See, there's people it always starts out good, and it always sounds so good, like, yeah, that's a really great idea. And you know something, really, it is. If you don't look beyond the immediate what's presented, it does sound like a good idea. But we know, and we should all know, just from what's happened to us in the last year or so, I would never in my life have believed the amount of censorship going on. I wouldn't have believed it. If someone said, you know what, someday somebody's going to censor you and you won't be able to speak because they don't agree with your opinion, I would be like, what? Because we've always had that right? We had the right to disagree with somebody without it being called hate speech. We had, you know, the right to disagree with someone and not be called a racist. You know, has nothing to do with skin color, but they make it about skin color. And not just they. I mean, you know, racism is racism. You know, people always think that it's only white people that can be racist. No, it isn't. And I discovered that when I was teaching in the the rainforest on the Mosquito Coast, because there is a real class system based on how dark your skin is. And there is the Garifuna Indians, and then there is the Mesquite Indians, which is why it's called Mosquito Coast. People think it's called Mosquito Coast because of, the insect. It's not. It's named after the Mesquite Indians, and they all, think less of the Mesquite Indians because they're darker. And it was just the most bizarre thing to me, because it's like the darker your skin, the more you are put down in society. Anyway, that is just an aside, but it just reminded me that, so many people think that it's only white people that can be racist. It isn't. So let's go on. I think we've kind of, I'm flogging a dead horse here, because we spoke about this in great length yesterday, and the problems that I had with it and the problems that I foresee happening with it. All right. Now, this is something else and you see, this is all going along with their narrative, you see, because their narrative now is going to be, well, because the Virginia Beach shooter bought his gun legally. Yeah. So we know that they have a narrative change, right? Because I do believe that this was planned. And the reason I think it's planned is because there was something supposed to happen on Sean Hannity. If any of you guys can fill me in on this, please, because apparently there was something breaking, some really big news, and Trump had told people to watch Hannity. Well, right in the middle of Hannity, it cut out, and they went to this shooter because they had an active situation. And so then, I don't know what became of Sean Hannity, because it was not aired afterwards, and I don't think it's been aired since, from my understanding. But it's interesting that he had something that he wanted to get out, to tell people, and then all of a sudden, well, he's just cut, and you're off to this live situation. So I'm thinking this is all to support this TAPS Act, because I think they're going to say now, well, you know what, though, you can't tell if somebody's, just because they've got a gun legally doesn't mean they're not going to go out and shoot people. So we have to have this threat assessment, because even though this guy, he didn't have any mental health issues that they're aware of, and he bought his gun legally. But if there was a program in place that could have evaluated him beforehand, then perhaps this could have been prevented. That's what the narrative is going to be. And you can see these things because after you followed it for a while, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but after you followed it for a while, it's so transparent. It is so incredibly transparent. And you shake your head and you think, my gosh, do they think we're stupid? And yeah. And you know what? Some of us are. And it's not that, I don't mean that to put anybody down or to say, well, this person has a lower IQ. It's not really about IQ. It's about being distracted, and everybody is distracted. They're working sometimes 2 and 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. They're trying to raise a family. They're trying to pay their taxes and do all the things that comes along with having a family, buy groceries and do laundry and, take the kids to go see grandma and everything else. And so when they sit down in front of the news at the end of a very tiring day, they're not thinking, well, I wonder if they're telling me the truth. So it really doesn't always have anything to do with, IQ. But we know that this is the narrative that they're going to be pushing. And it's interesting also that this person was of the, well, I can't say it, Muslim. And Virginia Beach shooter bought gun legally. And this, according to Breitbart, and I find Breitbart is very, good with their stories. They they get it right, as far as I'm concerned. If they don't, I'm not aware of where they've missed it. I think that they've been very good at reporting the truth. The suspect accused of opening fire and killing 12 innocents in Virginia Beach reportedly purchased his handgun legally. That means he passed a background check and complied with all gun controls in obtaining his .45 handgun, which he used in the attack. NBC News reported that a federal official said the suspect, who had worked for the city for 15 years as an engineer, recently purchased multiple firearms legally. Below is a partial list of other mass shooters who acquired their firearms via background checks. The Poway Synagogue attacker, Tree of Life Synagogue, Parkland High School attacker, Texas Church attacker, Las Vegas attacker, the Alexandria attacker, Orlando attacker, the UCLA gunman, the San Bernardino attackers, the Colorado Springs attacker, the Umpqua Community College attacker. My gosh, some of these I'm not even familiar with. I'm like, that's a lot of shootings. I'm not going to read them all. You get the idea. The list of attackers acquiring guns legally is important because Democrats often emerge from a mass shooting incident with calls for universal background checks. This amounts to expanding our current background check system to cover private gun sales as if they were retail. Such a move would do nothing to stop attackers who are already passing background checks to acquire their guns. So, my thought on this, as I said earlier, is that the narrative is going to change now, because they're going to say, well, look at all these attacks that are taking place, and these people have guns legally. So we've got to come up with some way of determining who is going to attack, and hence the TAPS Act. And it really will devolve into something like China's social credit score. It really will, because they're going to be checking your Facebook, your Twitter, the things that you tweet about, the things that they'll have facial recognition at the schools. They'll know where you are. Everything is connected. We are living in a surveillance state. I mean, we cannot probably walk even a block from our home without encountering several cameras, unless you live out in the country somewhere. But if you're in any sort of a metropolitan area at all, and it doesn't even have to be a very big metropolitan area, you're on camera all the time, just about. Whenever you go into a store, you're on camera. When you're driving down the streets, I know here, every single stop sign has cameras. So not stop signs, but lights. Traffic lights always have cameras. So, it's just everywhere. You go pull into a parking lot at Walmart or whatever, the whole parking lot's on surveillance. You're always on camera. And if they have facial recognition, then they can know exactly where you are, where you go, who you associate with. Well, are you associating with people that are known to be violent? Well, then you could possibly be violent as well, because we rise or fall to the level of our associations. So that's what it's going to be. It's just a different form of what they're already doing in China. So it's not good. And it really concerns me, because I'm thinking, Trump has to know. He has to know that this is happening. So I don't know. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but that doesn't mean that we be so open-minded that our brains fall out. It's good to be open and to, give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't ever want to have my mind so open that my brains fall out, because God gave us, a brain for a reason. So anyway, let's go on here. Now, this is very interesting as well, talking about surveillance. Amazon's plan to move into your next apartment before you do. Well, isn't that lovely? Yeah. The tech giant has figured out a way to get millions of its smart speakers into homes without consumers lifting a finger, as property managers bring in Alexa to manage tenants. When tenants first walk into their new apartment at the Brandon Place complex in Oklahoma City, they aren't likely to notice anything out of the ordinary for 2019. There are smart locks on the door with key code entry and contemporary thermostats with LCD touch screens during their move in briefing. They're told the unit's smart systems. Oh crap! It's not going to let me read the whole story, and I hate when that happens. No, really, I do. And it's the Wall Street Journal, that's why. And I just refuse to give them my money. But anyway, you get the idea. They're wanting to have these already in the apartments so that they can manage the tenants. So they'll know if you're having parties or if you're selling drugs or, what have you. And granted, I know for myself, I wouldn't want to live in a complex where there might be someone next door that's selling drugs or turning tricks. That happened to me. I rented a turn of the century home in a historic part of a city, and it was absolutely beautiful. And it was done into 3 apartments because it was an absolutely huge historic home. And lo and behold, the landlord let this young lady move in, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got a good corporate job here, and I don't know how she's affording the rent, because she was young and didn't appear to be working until all the men started showing up at night, and from in the afternoon sometime until way late in the evening, like 2-3 in the morning, there'd be just man after man after man after man coming to her door. So I figured out pretty quickly what was going on, and the landlord, on my say-so, actually kicked her out because that's exactly what she was doing. But I think you'd want to know that. I mean, especially if that was your home. I mean, this man had put a lot of money into, renovating the home and making it, appear like it did in the period that it was built and so forth. And this woman, when she moved out, she literally trashed. She broke all the windows in the upstairs, and unbelievable. So I can understand where they're coming from with this, but would you want it? I mean, are they going to report that you're having a prayer meeting? Alexa will know. Alexa knows everything. So is that going to be like, oh, you know what? This person could be subversive because they have people in their home and they have Bible studies. I don't know. We could get to that point, really, and I don't think it's too far off. All right, let's go back and let's look at this. And you know what? No, let's not look at this because I do not trust this website. I do not trust it at all. And I've looked at a couple stories from their site, and I just don't believe that they are on the up and up. So let's get rid of that. The website is called The Conservative Flash, and I already tweeted something, unfortunately, that I got from that website until I started really checking it out. And I think that it's one of those sites that plants news articles so that conservatives pick it up so that they can then turn around and say, look at these conservatives are spreading fake news. So that's what I think it is. All right, now let's come down to this by Daryl Ney. #QAnon. Meghan McCain uses assassination rhetoric on Trump impeachment. If you take this kill shot, Democrats, you better not miss. You better hit his jugular. Now, I don't know how this young lady can get away with saying that on, well, it's in the daytime. It's on The View. It's mainstream. How does she get away with that? You or I couldn't. Imagine if that was Obama. Imagine. And let's say that you had a talk show or you were on a talk show. Would you be allowed to say something like that and it go unchecked? If you take this kill shot, it's very, very clear what she's talking about. If you take this kill shot, Democrats, you better not miss. You better hit his jugular. And you know that, and I hate to say this, but you know it's true. If anything happened to Trump, you know these people would be dancing in the streets, shouting and high-fiving each other. You know they would. And then there'd be the other 3/4 of the country or more that would be so irate. And I'm telling you, if that happened, all hell would break loose in this country. And you know it would. Because you've got 3/4 or more of the people that love President Trump, see what he's doing, see how the country's improved, how the job rates have improved, how, everything is improved under Trump. Everything. Except for free speech. And that's concerning me. I'm really, really hoping that he does something soon. Because if he doesn't, I don't know how he can win an election, although he could probably win an election even if he was censored everywhere, because, he did it last time. They were censoring heavily then, but anyway, everything is very good under Trump, and I think that it wouldn't just be Americans that would be upset. The whole world would be upset if anything happened to him. So we need to keep praying for his safety, because really there are people that would revel in his death, and we know that to be a fact. All right, now let's go to this. And it says, breaking, Attorney General Barr discloses U.S. Attorney Huber never even started his investigation. U.S. Attorney John Durham took over his work. Now, this surprises me. And this is from May 31st, so it was yesterday. And that's Huber, of course. Today on CBS, Attorney General William Barr discloses that the Huber investigation is over. Huber was assigned to look at FISA applications and the electronic surveillance during the 2016 election and actions by Hillary Clinton. Huber did not even start his investigation. He didn't do a darn thing. AG Barr said this morning on CBS News that Huber did nothing and his work was taken over by the team he set up under U.S. Attorney John Durham. Ian Crawford, what's the status of Huber's investigation in Utah? I think the former Attorney General Sessions had asked him to look at this. William Barr, right. So Huber had originally been asked to take a look at the FISA applications and the electronic surveillance, but when he stood back and put that on hold while the Office of Inspector General was conducting its review, which would have been normal for the department, and he was essentially on standby in case Mr. Horowitz referred a matter to him to be handled criminally, so he has not been active on the front in recent months, and so Durham is taking over that role. The other issues he's been working on relate to Hillary Clinton. Those are winding down, and hopefully will be in a position to bring those to fruition. So, on one hand, he's saying, well, he didn't do anything, but then on the other, he's saying the other issues he's been working on relate to Hillary Clinton. So that, even though they're not telling you something, they are telling you something. See, because they're saying that, well, he didn't do anything. He didn't do his job, or he didn't do basically anything, and somebody else took over the work. But then William Barr also says, so he's been active on this front in recent months, and so Durham is taking over that role. The other issues he's been working on relate to Hillary Clinton. Those are winding down. Why are they winding down? Well, hopefully they're winding down because they've got all the evidence they need, and hopefully we'll be in a position to bring those to fruition. So we can clearly see what his position is on all this. He wants Hillary to be brought to justice. That's good news. That's good news. And maybe Huber, that's exactly what Huber has been doing all this time. I don't know. Ian Crawford, or is it Jan Crawford or Ian Crawford? See, that's how bad my glasses are. I think it's Jan Crawford. So he won't be involved in this really at all then, William Barr. No. Jan Crawford, that is his role. It's done. William Barr, right. Jan Crawford, and now Durham is going to pick up William Barr. Yes, right. We reported this 3 days ago from an interview of Joe DiGenova, and now AG Barr has confirmed it. So, interesting. John Huber was the special prosecutor tapped by former AG Jeff Sessions to investigate FISA abuses by Obama's DOJ and FBI. Sessions nominated Huber to perform this investigation after numerous calls for a special investigation into the Clinton Foundation and the deep state. But months ago, we reported that nothing was getting done. Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, and Doug Collins sent a letter to Special Prosecutor John Huber on January 8th, demanding answers by January 21st deadline. Your investigation has been ongoing for over 9 months. During the course of our extensive investigation, we have interviewed more than a dozen current and former DOJ and FBI personnel, and we're surprised to hear none of these potentially informative witnesses testified to speaking with you, the GOP lawmaker wrote. The Republican congressman then blasted Huber for being a no-show at the December hearing where Clinton Foundation whistleblowers Lawrence Doyle of DM Income Advisors and John Moynihan of JFM Associates testified. The Clinton Foundation whistleblowers, Mr. Moynihan and Mr. Dole, told the committee they had to send their evidence to the Huber investigation 3 times because they kept losing it. That doesn't sound too good, does it? In October, Congressman Meadows and Jim Jordan said they wanted to haul John Huber in before Congress to testify because they had not received any updates on Huber's investigation. Now we know that it was all a farce. Huber did nothing. Huber and the former Attorney General Jeff Sessions should be brought before a grand jury and investigated for their actions in obstructing justice. The American people are very angry about all that is going on in D.C. We want our country back. We demand justice. Yeah, and this is confusing to me too, because remember it was always like trust Sessions, and remember it was trust Kansas. Well, that was Huber. So, wasn't it? Or no, maybe that was Pompeo. That's right. Okay, so I don't know if he said trust Huber or not. I'm not sure if Q did or not, and I'm going to have to go back and search for that. But it's getting very confusing to tell whose side on what. And I think that is on purpose, because if we're having trouble figuring it out and we've had the benefit of all the Q posts, then I'm sure the deep state are having a hard time figuring it out too, what's going on. I think there's disinformation being thrown at people. I think that part of it is so some people will turn on each other. I don't know, but it is one convoluted mess, if you ask me. Now, this is interesting. This is Obama. 2.5% GDP is no longer attainable. 1% GDP is the new norm. How's Trump going to bring back jobs, with a magic wand or something? And then you've got Trump. GDP just hit 4.1%. Yeah, Obama, I think he does have a magic wand. Yeah. Well, so does Obama. It just belongs to Michelle Obama. Sorry, that was in bad taste. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this. No, really, let's. Okay, now watch Rudy Giuliani drop bomb, accuses Biden and son. There's a little tiny, there really is a little tiny bug flying around here. Now, my glasses might be bad, but I saw that bug. Dang it. It was there, I swear. All right. Rudy Giuliani drops bomb, accuses Biden and son of extortion and bribery. Interesting. On Thursday, Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani joined Fox News host Sean Hannity to discuss a variety of topics, including the statement made by Robert Mueller on Wednesday, as well as scandals surrounding the Biden family. Giuliani began talking about the bribery and extortion involving former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden. If Donald Trump Jr. got $1.5 billion from the Chinese, you don't think we'd be going crazy? Giuliani started, well, Biden's kid got $1.5 billion from China for a startup private equity fund while the old man was giving us away to China. He flew the kid there on Air Force Two. Giuliani went on to call Hunter Biden a drug addict, and he'd just been tossed out of the military for being a drug addict. Now, we may have read this already because it sounds awfully familiar. Does it sound familiar to you guys? When did this come out? this only came out yesterday, so I don't know. Unless I read it yesterday, I might be going just completely crazy. Who knows? Anyway, the former New York City mayor then went on to compare the Biden scandal to how House Democrats are trying to impeach President Trump for doing nothing wrong. They're trying to find out if Donald Trump got a parking ticket 20 years ago and they won't cover the 1.5. How about the 5 million from one of the most crooked people in the Ukraine, while Joe is doling out the money to the Ukraine, and then Joe bribes the president of the Ukraine. The Ukrainians didn't want to fire the guy. He did it because he was extorted. That's the crime. Joe extorted. And by the way, he took the money from the Ukraine. We call that under our laws bribery, he concluded. Yes, we do. There have been growing concerns surrounding the Biden family and their shady business deals. In his best-selling book, Secret Empires, author Peter Schweizer discusses the foreign influence scandal that the Biden family faces as former Vice President Joe Biden campaigns for the 2020 presidential election. One of the largest scandals consuming the Biden family is Hunter Biden's financial deals in relation to an equity firm located in Ukraine and China. According to Schweizer, Vice President Joe Biden was negotiating with those two countries during the time that Hunter Biden, his son, was working for the equity firm. Well, we're not going to read the rest of this, but let's just read the wrap up here. In early May, Biden denied that his son, Hunter Biden, asked him for help in Ukraine after he got tangled in a mess while serving on the board at a Ukraine energy company. We never once discussed it when he was there, Biden said to the Associated Press. There's not a single bit of evidence that's been shown in any reporting that's been done that he ever talked about it with me or asked any government official for a favor. Breitbart said when he was... This says, check out what Breitbart reported. When he was vice president, Joe Biden threatened to withhold $1 billion in loan guarantees for Ukraine if officials did not fire the country's top prosecutor, who was pursuing a corruption investigation of an energy company while his son Hunter was serving on the board. Yeah. And also, Hunter Biden was paid as much as $50,000 per month while serving on the board, as his father led the Obama administration's policy with Ukraine. Conflict of interest much? Wow. And we know this, but you know what? It's just like the more you read it, oh, this is Biden's not a single bit of evidence defense echoes former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's repeated assertion that there was no evidence of improper paybacks after she approved the Uranium One deal, despite receiving $145 million in pledges and donations for the Clinton Foundation. Biden's Ukraine connection made recent headlines after President Trump's personal attorney suggested he would travel to Ukraine to investigate the issue before ultimately deciding against it. What are your thoughts? Isn't that interesting? President Donald Trump's personal attorney suggested he would travel to Ukraine to investigate the issue before deciding against it. You know that they were trolling the Bidens. That's all they were doing. They probably had no intention of going to the Ukraine because they already have all the information they need. They were just trying to troll the Bidens. Anyway, let's go back and see what other trouble we can get into. I'm sure there's somewhere. No, I don't know where that came from. Okay, let's go back. Because sometimes you got to go back to go forward. All right. Now, Ryan Saavedra said, breaking, the U.S. Justice Department is preparing an antitrust investigation of Google and is expected to examine its practices relating to search. That, according to the Wall Street Journal. And Jeff Carlson says, hi, Twitter, because this came from Twitter. And, you know, Twitter's guilty of the very same crimes that Google is. So he replies to Ryan Saavedra and says, hi, Twitter. You gotta like that. You gotta love it. I would really, really, really like to see these tech giants not come down, because they are providing a good service. We just want them to be fair. Either we have free speech or we don't. Which is it? Are we going to go by the Constitution or are we not? Yeah, and the same is happening in Canada, except worse. It's worse here, if you can believe that. So, yeah, one of the many reasons I want to come back to the States. Quickly, get me out of here. They're all crazy up here. All right. Let me see now. Well, that we've already covered. That might be it for tonight. And wow, I may have covered it in under an hour. And that would be something, wouldn't it? So, yeah, that's it for tonight. Wow. I did, yeah, I did have a few other things to bring you, but I actually took them off because I could not verify the sources, and I don't want to bring you stuff that ultimately I'm just going to have to come back and say, I'm sorry, it wasn't true. So yeah, I'd rather take my time and vet something and then bring it to you than bring you false news. So because we've got enough people doing that already. So anyway, well, that's it for tonight, and I will be back tomorrow. I'll be here hanging around like a bad smell, and I hope you will come and join me and bring some Febreze. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth, because deception bites.